That time I got robbed in Ecuador. You know, I didn't expect to be talking about this, but with how dangerous things are right now in Guayaquil, or Guayaquil, I think it's important to put an emphasis on how dangerous it can be here in Ecuador. Now, in no way am I saying that Ecuador is the most dangerous place in the world, but I do want people to be careful when they come over here. That's why I'm gonna tell my experience, so that maybe you can take a page out of my book and not let the same thing happen to you, or something similar. So,
listen to my story.
I was born in a hospital in the city of, okay, well, maybe not that far back. Okay, but being serious, this was supposed to be a good day. I was supposed to go to an event, have fun, relax, and then head back home. But I guess life had different plans for me. So everything started at the event. I went to the event, had fun, hung out with some friends. Everything was perfect. Until after the event. After the event, the friends I was with decided they wanted to go to the fair. Now, if you know anything about Ecuadorian fairs, or going out anywhere really in Ecuador, it's that it's pretty dangerous. And one of the main things Ecuadorians always tell you when you get here, one of the things that they always tell you when you go out, always be careful when you go out. Do not take anything that you consider important. Normally that wouldn't be an issue because whenever I knew I was going somewhere that might be dangerous, I would leave everything I had at home. But since this was something that was planned while I was at the event, it wasn't something I was prepared for. And normally, I wouldn't have gone. I don't really like spending money on things that I don't think are necessary. And I didn't see much merit in going to the fair, except for the fact that in that group of friends we were with was the girl I liked. Yeah. She seemed pretty excited to go, and I didn't want to miss a chance to talk to her, go on the rides with her, or just hang out in general. So, on a whim, I decided to go. Poor choice. So we all went to the fair. And like I said before, I wasn't really prepared to go to the fair since I was carrying around my phone, and normally when I go to places like that, I would leave my phone at home. And I haven't mentioned what phone I had. At that time, I had a Sony Ericsson. It had a screen that you could tap with a stylus, and it was really, really cool at the time. And I say at the time because at that time, there weren't really a lot of advanced smartphones. In fact, a lot of people were carrying around this phone at the time. I still have this one because it was my previous phone before having the Sony Ericsson. And let's be honest, this thing could probably survive a world war. And as if all that weren't enough, that phone was actually a gift from my godmother. And the only other piece of good technology I had was this iPod to listen to music with. But I wasn't gonna take this because it didn't have internet and I didn't have a plan on this. It's an iPod. I would have just been risking it for no reason. Oh, and if you're wondering where my cane is, that's somewhere over in the closet. My lower back, you know, kind of hurts these days too. But anyways, we were at the fair. Everything was great. We talked and laughed, we ate snacks, we went on rides, and everything seemed to be going marvelously. Except for the fact that I didn't get to talk to the girl that I wanted to talk to. You could almost say she was kind of avoiding me. And if I think back on it now, I think she knew that I liked her and she was probably keeping her distance. But stubborn as I was, and still sometimes am, I decided to make a move. Oh, you poor fool. So I gathered up all the courage that I had, every last ounce of it. And I asked her, will you go on this ride with me? And you have to understand how much it cost me to actually ask her to go on that ride with me. Despite what I may seem like right now, I was, and still consider myself to be, a very shy person. I have my moments. But anyways, yeah, I asked her. And guess what she told me? She said, no, she's not gonna go on the ride. Okay, cool. If she doesn't wanna go on the ride, if she's not gonna go on the ride, it's fine, not a big deal. Until, not a few minutes after, I see her going on the ride with another friend. And I was like, are you serious? But yeah, there she was, enjoying herself on that ride with someone else. So at that point, this just turned into kind of a sad story, right? I laugh now because when I look back on it, it's so silly. But the thing is, this is where it gets kind of bad, and not just in an emotional way. So obviously I was sad, frustrated, upset, and honestly, all those negative emotions clouded my judgment. Because if there was something important that I was told before going to the fair, or before going anywhere here in Ecuador, always stick close to the group. Always stick close to the people you are with. This is important because, as we all know, there is strength in numbers, and that holds true here in Ecuador. But in that moment, I wasn't thinking about strength in numbers. I wasn't thinking about, oh, it's dangerous here. I was thinking, I can't believe she just did that. So naturally, the first thing my smart self did was separate myself a bit from the group. And when I say a bit, I mean a bit. I'm talking about you could take 1 to 2 to 3 steps from the group and you'd be right there where I'm at. But yeah, I separated myself from the group. There was this pool table behind me, so I just stood, leaned on it, and dropped my head in shame and sadness because I was upset. What did you expect? Me to be happy about, oh hey, she said no and now she's hanging out with someone else? No, that's not how things work. So at that point, I set myself up in the worst possible position. And like I said, 1 to 2 to 3 steps away from the group. So while I'm there, miserable, contemplating what I did wrong, a group of random people come up to me, some random guys. And of course, if there's ever any 2 questions you don't want to be asked by a random group of people who come up to you while you're by yourself, it's 1, can you tell me what time it is? And 2, do you have 25 cents? Or any form of change. If someone ever asks you that over here, and you're by yourself, and they're with a group of people, you're probably gonna get robbed. So at that point, I was nervous as all heck, and I didn't know what to do. I literally don't even know what I was thinking at that moment. Probably something like I shouldn't be here right now. But fortunately, semi-fortunately, at that moment was when a friend of mine who was in the group came by. And he was like the tough guy of the group. And he came and he started asking these guys like, what are you doing here? Like, what do you want? What do you need? And you know, he got in the way. And that was great. I infinitely, eternally appreciate it. But unfortunately, during the process where he was interrogating these guys, the guy who was closest to me from the guys who went up to me at the moment when I was alone, he had already put his hand in my pocket, took out my phone, and it was done and over with at that point. So he basically saved me from getting anything else robbed, because at that moment, I think I was carrying around my wallet too, but I still have my wallet, so I know they didn't take that. And after a weird exchange between them, these guys went away. I was super scared, but super relieved. But that wasn't gonna bring my phone back. But once again, this man, he decided to go and see if you can get in touch with some contacts that might know these guys, who generally know people who are criminals like that, to see if he could get my phone back. And yeah, everyone else came up too. They asked me if I was all right, and they told me to just go home because there wasn't anything else we could do at the moment. And some people might say, you could chase them down, get your stuff back, we were with a big group. But the problem is, sometimes these guys carry weapons, they have family, they go into bigger groups, and they're waiting with other people. It's all a risky situation. After that, I went home without the phone my godmother gave me, and to go back to using this. That's my story. Although, there is a bit more to this. After I went home, I logged on to MSN Messenger, and I was just super bummed out and depressed. And this girl, she started writing to me. She asked me if I was alright and if everything was okay. And yeah, I told her everything was fine. I played it off, acted like nothing happened. And in reality, other than my phone getting robbed, nothing really happened. Part of me at the time blamed her because I was like, because she didn't want to go on the ride with me and she went with someone else, I separated myself from the group. But the reality is, that was my own choice. The only thing I always wonder is, what if I had gotten on the ride with her? Would all of those things actually have happened? Who knows? At this point, it's over and done with, just gotta move on in life. So the things that I want you to take away from this story are, do not go to the fair or any open space alone unless you know there's going to be a ton of security guards, such as the park. If you do decide to go to these places alone, make sure to leave any valuables at home. If you are with friends, make sure you don't get too separated from them. And if someone starts approaching you, or if they have approached you and they ask you for 25 cents, or if they ask you for the time, get out of there. And that's pretty much it for that story. But if you want to hear another story of when something happened while I was driving my motorcycle here in Ecuador, you should check out this video. And if you want to know what happened here, or hear about any other crazy stories that I have while living here in Ecuador, then like this video and leave a comment down below. And subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with all the things that happen here and all of my crazy stories. And you know how it is, make sure you take care, don't get robbed in Ecuador, and as always, ace out.